Welcome everybody back to another episode of the Veteran Influencers Podcast, and today we do have a special guest. What we're going to do is first go over our sponsors. So our sponsor for today, which is, we are very blessed, this is our very first sponsor. The company is called Personally Yours Decor, and they are a unique and decorative personalized items to enhance your home. Items are definitely high quality. I checked them out myself. Handcrafted and custom made. And I mean, they have all different types of home decor, from front door to kitchen to outside. And like I said, the actual website is personallyyoursdecor.com. You can check it out. The quality is amazing. You can just tell by the presentation and the setup that the setup is amazing. And the actual company is from one of my friend's moms. So I know for a fact, just knowing who he is, he's a high quality person. And when he does something, it's definitely high quality. And I've just seen the way his mom works business wise and everything, and quality. It's just absolutely amazing stuff. If I wasn't moving, I'd actually have some stuff displayed in the background. But you see, I got my camis and my beautiful awards over here, So that's, once again, personallyyoursdecor.com. Stop by, support. Her son is a veteran that also served as well. And all the items are definitely high quality. So shout out to Personally Yours Decor. So I also want to give a big shout out to Mike Ward, Freddie Batista, and Tim Thompson for stopping by. I appreciate you guys showing love and support. So with that being said, I just want to go over a few announcements real quick prior to actually getting the interview started. So bear with me. I appreciate you guys. So right now we're still building our YouTube channel, but we're going to start streaming here on Facebook for a while to try to get some of the different viewership from Facebook to transfer over to YouTube. Also, we have our Instagram, which is veteran_influencer. So go stop by, hit that follow, show some support for your boy. And the same thing on Facebook. We have veteran influencers on Facebook. We're trying to build up. We're gonna have a lot of things coming in the near future for these different platforms as well. Also, we'll get started on that. I'll do the rest at the end. So, like I said, we always have a special guest on our podcast, and our guest today is Second Lieutenant Joshua Jobe, and I actually met him. He was a staff sergeant when I met him. He was a MECEP, which is just an enlisted to officer student at Arizona State University when I met him. So he was in the program for a few years. Definitely helped me out with some business tips. Very great person. Will take the time out of his day to give back to you with all the knowledge. Extremely knowledgeable. It makes no damn sense how smart the guy is, but I guess that's why he went to the officer route. Definitely pushed and through a lot of things going on in life, and that just kind of goes to show how strong of a person he is as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, my friend Joshua Jobe.
Hello.
So, like I said, I kind of give you like a basis of the structure that we typically talk about. But for the most part, anything goes except for the hot spots that we talked about a little bit earlier. And I mean, just being an officer, I'm sure you're going to probably watch what you say anyways to make sure. Sometimes the eyes are just like out there looking like, So,
especially being new, they're going to be watching.
Like, oh, really? Oh, in your experience as an officer, huh? So for the people that are out there that they're stopped by and that want to support, like, we want to know about baby Joshua. Like, what was baby Joshua like growing up?
I grew up in Texas till I was 7, and there I don't really remember much, but then I moved to Kentucky, and from the age of about 11, I started helping my dad. He did flooring or remodeling, so I would go with him like twice a week because I was homeschooled. So I would do my work after I got home from working with him or before going to work, and I learned how to do wood flooring, tile remodeling, plumbing, electrical, everything like that. So I guess that helped me get a good work ethic growing up. And then I was in a tiny town. So when I started getting close to 18, I was like, I want to get the heck out of here. So that's where I eventually led me to joining the Marine Corps.
Oh, nice. Nice. So you said you grew up in Texas?
until I was 7. And then I moved to Owensboro, Kentucky from the age of 7 all the way till 18.
So what are some main differences that you notice between Texas and Kentucky? Because I want to be completely honest. I hear all these things about Texas, and I don't know one person that's ever said anything bad about Texas that like actually lived there or that was from Texas. And I probably know 2 people from Kentucky. So what was it like? I just assume it's like a bunch of farmland, you know?
Well, I grew up in Dallas, Texas, so it's a huge city. And then I went to Owensboro, Kentucky, which is like small, like town. Like I had to drive 30 minutes, 40 minutes to get to Walmart. So there's a very big difference there. I would say the big downside with Texas, which is why I was homeschooled, is the school systems in the area were very, very, very huge on gangs. So they had a lot of gangs back in the 90s when I was growing up there. And it was getting pretty bad. And there was a lot of, even in the elementary school, middle school, people like killing each other in the, like outside of school, obviously not on the school grounds, but it was pretty bad at the time. And that's why my parents decided just to homeschool us.
Like, nah, fam, hey, you coming home.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yo, so that's crazy. Now, you did homeschooling in both Dallas and Kentucky? Or
yes.
Was it like, okay.
So I did it in both. When we went to Kentucky, we went to a Christian school for 2 years, and then the school ended up closing down. So we were like, well, I guess it's back to homeschooling.
So what'd you actually think of homeschool? Because like I see a lot of people doing homeschool, and to be honest, there's a lot of things that I've seen and experienced by being in a public school, from fights and just like, you know, like kind of hearing about other people's endeavors. But I just can't see myself have, like, if I being homeschooled, I would get too claustrophobic.
Yeah, so it's really specifically on the person and the parents on how they do it. If you're homeschooled to the point where you have no outside interaction, then I think that leads to social impairment later on in life. Luckily for me, we had a very big, they called it a homeschool group. It was a bunch of families who all got together who were homeschooled. So I had, I had so many more, like so much friends that we could go during the school day to go hang out with them, because since you're homeschooled, I could do school before or after, or I could do 2 days in one day and then have the next day off to go hang out with people. And then, the kids who lived around me were all in public school. So I got a lot of the interaction through them like that. But yeah, I definitely, the majority of the homeschool kids I knew, it was a social impairment.
So for those that are grew up in Dallas or from Dallas, so obviously you started when did you actually start going to homeschool? I know it was in Dallas, but so I'm assuming you just went to elementary school. Kindergarten,
first grade, second grade. There's curriculums that you can get. There's several curriculums, but the curriculum I did started in kindergarten, and I would do it. And then when I got in the first grade, they would actually grade it and submit it to the school systems to prove that we were actually doing school.
Okay, so you can't really give a shout out to a specific school because you never formally went to a public school? Oh, man.
Never did. My brother did, because he's 2 years older than me. And then that's when they were like, nope, this ain't happening.
What school did he go to?
Oh, you're talking about when I was like 2 or 3 years old. I have no idea.
I know all my schools, and, you know, it's all good now, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I usually know more about the inside of the principal's office. That's usually what I know. Or freaking detention. But, okay, so we got early life, homeschooling. And like I said, I don't know how I would have managed it, but you obviously found a way to be able to interact. So you're going from, more of an enclosed type life, and I'm assuming you did homeschool until when? All the way up to the end of high school?
Yes. So that was the only good point about homeschooling. Besides, I mean, if you get the right curriculum, it's very like challenging information. Like usually our normal curriculum is like the whatever you call the advanced curriculum at a public school. Right. And then we have ones above that are basically like college classes. And for my high school or my senior year, I took all my credits out of college. So like I needed a history credit, I needed a math credit in English and stuff like that. I just took college classes and they counted for both my high school and college credits. So my entire senior year, I didn't do any actual high school work. I did all college work. And it translated for the end of high school, which was, I think, a benefit to it.
Wow. That's crazy. I knew a couple people that actually did the majority of actually homeschooling. Like my cousins grew up homeschooling, and I would always see my aunt like teaching them certain things. And you know what? Let me give a big shout out to all the parents that had to do homeschooling during this whole COVID thing. I'm stressed out thinking about it. You know, I mean, I had my son here during the summer, but I wasn't necessarily like teaching him schoolwork. You know, it was the summertime, you know, so I definitely went over some stuff with him. We did some activities and whatnot, but the patience you have to have, especially when you have like a young kid, like my son's 8, so it's a little different. He's still all over the damn place, but when you have those younger kids and you're not only got to be a caretaker of them, but you have to actually be patient with them and teach them. And shout out to all the parents that stay home doing that, because it is definitely, it's not as sweet as everybody thinks. It's like, oh, I get to stay home. Absolutely not. You start to hate the house after a while. It's like, I just want to get out of here.
Especially when you have somebody hard-headed like me. I'm sure I gave my mom a lot of gray hairs.
But at least you can admit it, though. Most people think they're just, oh,
yeah.
The deal was, I mean, I was So that's crazy. So growing up, did you have any hobbies that kind of like stuck out? Like whether sports or like, did you like to draw? Do you like to mess with computers?
Yeah, so I was really big into computers, and I built my own desktop when I was probably like 14.
Oh, wow.
And then I did graphic designing. So I actually, before I joined the Marine Corps, I spent 2 years as a head graphic designer for a screen printing company, Owensboro. And that actually translated when we get further into my life and when I started the business, that experience helped out a lot.
That's crazy too. Like, because computers is definitely one of those things I knew would be like a viable thing to have knowledge of. But some people be sitting there, yeah, so what happens is you can replace the RAM and then this, and I'm just like,
The Dodge Ram, it wouldn't even fit in there.
Yeah, I'm not the greatest with computers. And like, I talk to people that do computers, like, yeah, all you gotta do is take it apart and do this. I'm like, listen, if I take this thing back, the only way it's going back together is with like duct tape, because I'm a loser. I don't remember where they went, and I don't know. I just couldn't do it. No, that's awesome though. So all the way through the end of high school, you were private school or at home school, and somehow like you ran into a recruiter, or like how did that work? Like, was he like Avon lady? Like, not going? I know the recruiters ain't putting in that type of work. Hold on.
They wouldn't have been where I lived. They would have had to gone way out of their way. I lived in the boons, the boony docks. But no, so I was one of those that as soon as I was 18, I wanted to get out of my house. Me and my parents bumped heads. I was the black sheep of the family, and I was like, they're like, as long as you live under my roof, you live by my rules. And I was like, deal, I'm getting out. I'll live by my rules. So I was like, well, I'll join the military. I always thought about joining the military. And I actually went in and talked to the Air Force recruiter. And as soon as I walked in, they're like, we're busy, come back in 2 weeks. And I was like, okay. So I turned around and started walking off. And the Marine Corps recruiter was like, hey, where are you going so soon? They're like, come here, let's talk.
Yeah.
And, that was it. Well, I mean, looking back at it, I always looked at the Marines. I had like the GI Joes, but I had Marine GI Joes.
Okay.
So it was like always, I guess, subliminally in my head, the Marine Corps. So yeah, eventually I ended up in the Marine Corps.
Was there like a specific poster that, because we're actually going to be doing, I don't want to like kind of like mix them in, but we're going to be doing Ask a Recruiter later this week. But was there a specific poster that like kind of like, yeah, I want to be like that?
Yep. So there was a poster I had on my wall because back when I was really into the Marine GI Joes, my parents went to a Marine recruiter and asked for some posters. Right. And it was that black recon guy where half of it was like MVG and like computerized, and the other half was like his silhouette.
That's dope. I know exactly what you're talking about. Like I was just talking to somebody about that. That's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, that I would say mine was like one of the ones I liked is when the Marine was like slaying the dragon, or like that.
Yeah, that was a good one.
He's like on the cliff, like hanging on. He's like, he's like on the cliff hanging on, trying to hit the firing thing with the sword, and he finally gets him. He's just standing there like.
And he just transforms into his blues, and he's.
I'm not gonna lie, even like some people were telling me that they look back and they thought it was like kind of cheesy, but at the time, I don't think anybody really thought that. Like I think that.
Oh no.
Dope.
I mean, we look back at a lot of commercials and we're like, ooh, that was cheesy. But back in the day when that came on, we're like, whoa, everybody be quiet. Watch this. This is it right here.
Some of the old cartoons are like, how the hell did I watch this?
Or especially when you go back and you start playing the old like N64 Super Nintendo games, and you were like, back in the day, I thought this was like realistic. When N64 came out, I was like, look at this Mario. He looks like he could jump out of the screen right now. And now we look at it and we're like, ooh.
How's this little dude jumping and grabbing the top of that castle flag? I don't know. That's awesome, man. So, grew up liking computers, went to homeschooling, and then at some point you're like, I knew that I wanted to get out of the house. Parents wasn't having it. They were trying to put the smack down on you and lay that groundwork and say that you ain't doing nothing under my roof without my permission. So I was like, I'm out. Traveled to go see a recruiter. Or, the recruiter like spoke them sweet nothings in your ear. Like, I don't know. Number one, signing bonus. Got you. And then, so how did it work from there? Did you already know what you wanted to do?
I had no idea what MOS I wanted. So I went and I took the ASVAB, and when we got back, he got my score and laid out and was like, basically, these are the MOSs you can pick. And then I went through them because originally I thought I was only going into the military for 4 years, get out, have them pay for the rest of my college. The same story everybody has who ends up retiring at 20 years. And I was like, well, what will translate into the civilian world job wise? So I had like aviation mechanic. I think I had like just a regular, my mind went blank. Just like
support?
Yeah. And then, I had signals intelligence, and those were the three that I pulled out. And then at the end of the day, I was like, well, I like computers. Signals intelligence sounds cool. So let's go with that one.
So were you one of the ones that got like this fat bonus, like as a F-tapper?
No, I didn't get a signing bonus. My re-enlistment bonus, I was pretty bitter about that. When I joined, the re-enlistment bonus for my MOS was 87 grand. And then by the time I went to re-enlist, it was only 22, which I say only 22. 22 is still a really good amount. But when I came in, I was like 87. And then by the time I'm signing, they're like, it's down to 22. I was like, whoa, man, that sucks.
Yeah.
But I'll take it.
Hey, but at least you got that 22 though. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, very true.
I had this guy that was in my unit. He was S2, and he signed for like 95,000, and he was in Iraq when he did it. He re-enlisted in Iraq, tax free, $95,000.
One of my buddies was a linguist, and they get a signing bonus. So they get a bonus just for joining once they get out of their language school. And I think he ended up getting 27,000 as a signing bonus. And as soon as he got that bonus, he put it all on the Facebook back when they were young. So by the time his 5 years were up, he had, I think it was like $1.5 million in Facebook stock. So he cashed that out and got out of the Marine Corps.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely look back and think there's definitely some smarter investments I could have made. But hey, I was young, you know what I'm saying? Don't judge me.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. Like I said, I know a lot of Intel that got a lot of money for it. And, you know, they were hurting for Intel at the time. I'm not sure how it is now, but obviously you said like the bonuses. And honestly, I don't really know too many people that are getting bonuses anymore, like at all. I don't know any MOS that are getting, or whether the Marine Corps is even doing that anymore. So I guess it was like how it was while it lasted, but you know, I guess we just move on from there.
Peacetime Marine Corps.
Right. So you got signal intelligence, and so what was it like when you first joined, you know, through your career as enlisted?
So it was really interesting going through MOS school. They hadn't updated the curriculum in probably 20 years. So as we're going through it, we're like, wow, this is really interesting. It's weird that we're doing this. And then we get to the fleet and they're like, forget everything you learned at MOS school. It does no longer apply. You're gonna have to relearn the entire job because it's different. And we're like, oh, that's fun. So that was interesting. And then, yeah, it's just a lot of classes. And with signals intelligence, it's RF theory and all kinds of like tedious information we have to learn. So you get really good at staying awake during like 3-4 hour briefs where they're talking about like sophisticated like numbers and frequencies and like frequency loss and wattage and everything like that, and you're just like what?
Yeah.
So that went on, and then in 2000, or I joined in 2009, and then 2011 in November, I believe, I went on my first deployment to Afghanistan. And that was actually pretty sick because we're not allowed to do our job in country because it goes against all the regulations on collecting on U.S. citizens. Right. So we never get to really do anything much except for learn buttonology on equipment until we actually go out forward and deploy.
Right. That's crazy. So where was your first unit at? Like, you don't have to say the exact unit, but what was your first unit?
I was at it's fine. 1st Radio Battalion in Camp Pendleton.
Hey, Radio Battalion! Let me give a big shout out to Radio Battalion. I actually, his name was Radel. I don't know if you ever knew him, Captain Radel. When I knew him, but it's spelled like Roedl. I think he retired he might have been a major or lieutenant colonel, but either way, yeah, he was there. And then my boy Palmer. I don't know if you knew him, Gunner Sergeant Palmer, big, tall guy.
No,
yeah, I don't know his name. Yeah, he's. I mean, if he is, he's got to be like a master guns by now or something. But anyways, yeah, I actually played basketball with them like for intramural. So I was like 1st Radio Battalion. So shout out to them. So going from your first unit, you did 2 deployments with them?
Yes.
2 deployments with them, and then what was from the time after that? Like, what year are we looking at when you left that unit?
2014.
2004. Okay, so in 2014, is that when you went to?
TTCG, 29 Palms.
Ooh.
And that's when I was a coyote out there.
For those of you guys that have never been to 29 Palms or don't understand when people say 29 Palms, most people cringe. Listen, some people tell me they love 29 Palms, and to each their own. Most people just, they know. If you know, you know. So in 29 Palms, like, what was it like out there for you?
I loved it. I actually requested to go out there because I really enjoyed my job, and that's where we get to go to help instruct and evaluate and see if the units are ready to go on their deployments. So I got to get my hands on every single team, SIGINT team that was getting ready to go on a deployment, and kind of spread the knowledge that we had from our deployments, because we were on kind of like the last bit of deployments to Afghanistan. Right. So everybody else behind us had no deployment experience, and you really don't understand the job until you get some deployment experience. Right. So that was really fun to do. I enjoyed it.
No, that's awesome. So while you were there in 29 Palms, is that when you're like, I'm thinking about becoming an officer, or was it always something that you're like, I knew that coming in, I'm going to probably want to be an officer, but I want to kind of get my time?
Yeah, so it was always something I kind of thought of after I re-enlisted the first time, but it was there that I started to realize that when I left there, I was no longer going to be doing like the groundwork of SIGINT teams and actually getting to go out forward and do stuff. I would have been back with the platoon just paperwork wise. So I was like, and I saw all the time that we had our staff sergeants who had like 5-6 deployments in, and they would go up to our lieutenant and be like, hey sir, like it's not a good idea to do this. We've done it a lot of times. It doesn't work. Let's try to do it this way. And the lieutenants were like, well, let's just try it one more time. And it's like, okay. So I knew if I was going to stay in for a long time, I would rather try to get on the side where I can make a difference than to be on the side of, hey sir, let's try this. And then be like, yeah, no, okay.
Right. So you felt like you just had, you were putting yourself in a little bit more of a position to, because, and I always looked at it as well, that the fact that you were prior enlisted, it kind of helps you to resonate to what the enlisted not only go through, but their thought process. And like,
yes,
you already understand the type of relationship enlisted to officer should be to be the most successful.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's awesome too. Because I mean, I think a lot of people have actually thought about. I thought about it at some point as well. But I'm glad, like someone like you, just working with you, and we'll get to that in a second. Working with you in the MECEP program, I can definitely tell that you're gonna be a great officer, and you're very easy to work with. So, so transitioning. All right. So you already knew that you wanted to become an officer because just like kind of like your past, you've seen how you felt like you had like a little bit more of an opportunity to put your own stamp on things and to be in a position to where you and your enlisted can kind of work together as a little bit more cohesive team. So you decide to go to Arizona State, or you handpicked that one?
So my wife is from Arizona, and we'd been around different places, and I was like, well, if I get to pick a school, I'll go back to Arizona so she can be near her family during this time. And at that time too, we were considering whether we were going to have kids or not. Well, like if we do, it's going to be easier if we're around family to help us during that process as well.
That's awesome. So just real quick, for those that don't know, can you quickly explain the MECEP program and like kind of like the process? And also, can you kind of go over your experience while you were there?
Yeah, so they change it all the time, but when I applied, you had to be a sergeant, and then you had to have so many credits of college already. And then you put together a package that was like yay thick. And then you would send it up, and they would send it back and be like, nope, try again. And you'd send it up again, and it finally go through. And then they select so many people out of the packages. And then if you get selected, then when the message comes back, it tells you, hey, you're going to report to OCS on this date for training. They used to do it where you would go to college, and then halfway through you would go to OCS, but MECEPs would go and get fat and nasty at college and fail OCS. And so they're like, no, you're going to go first before you go to college to make sure you pass. So you go to OCS, and when you graduate OCS, you go back to your original unit and you apply for college, and it has to be a college that has an inter-OTC so that you can get to that group and participate with that. And then you go to that college, and you basically just go to college and participate with whatever the inter-OTC has, which was wonderful at the time because we would show up two to 4 times a week, depending on what we were doing. And it was for like maybe 2 hours. And then besides that, you just went to your classes.
Right. Yeah. I definitely kind of feel like you're paying a little bit when it comes like that whole package thing from doing meritorious package. And also like, I applied for warrant officer back in like 2015. And there were so many corrections, and then it ended up getting to where our packages never got pushed up. And then it took like, I don't want to say too much, I'm so active, but yeah, let's just say somebody made sure those packages got found and end up getting pushed up, and then a certain amount of people got selected. So I know what you mean. Like, and a lot of things that you thought were gonna be common sense, you had to go fix it to be a certain way, and this person wanted it that way, This person wanted it that way, and the frustration is definitely there. But I think that's also I've always looked at it as one of the tests They want to see how resilient you are.
Yes.
Are you going to continue to do it? Are you going to tap out and say, you know what, I really don't want to be an officer? What does the product that you give them look like? Are all the pages wrinkled? Are they numbered the correct way? So I always looked at it that's kind of like, not a stepping stone, but like kind of like that first little initiation.
Yeah. How bad do you want it? And I was actually told that by another MECEP. We had a MECEP captain that was the S2 Coyote there. And right. I was asking him a couple questions. He's like, look, this is a test to see how bad you want it. You got to go out there and find it yourself. So I was like, okay.
No, that's definitely awesome. So can you give like a brief description of like, I know you talked about it and you're very modest about it. You know, you don't have to go into full detail, but can you kind of explain maybe to those that are thinking about doing the MECEP program, can you kind of go over like what the daily life is like, you know, being at ROTC, and maybe talk about, you know, the things that we stress on the most, from the pre-OCS type training to PT, to classes that you have to give to help you develop into an officer?
Yeah, so a lot of it's NROT to NROTC dependent on a lot of the structure of it, but at ASU it was very heavy on the point of they wanted us to start getting out of the enlisted mind and more into the officer mind. So it was a lot less of acting, I guess, like a sergeant or a staff sergeant, and trying to step more into the role of an officer. And we had what's called Bulldog, which is the actual days where they do Marine Corps oriented training, because the NROTC is Navy based and we just have the Marine Corps side of it there as well. And as the MECEPs, we would trade off on teaching those classes just to get comfortable standing in front of people and talking to them and teaching as well. So we teach everything from like, I did compass classes, land navigation. We did some like immediate action drills, remedial action drills, like patrolling, all kinds of stuff like that. And then hikes.
Yeah.
Out at frickin' Four Peaks, that frickin' hill.
Yeah, if Captain Maurer was watching this right now, he'd have a single tear.
Oh, the trail, it was bad. I remember the first time we went out there to do the hike, and I was actually the duty driver because I was still recovering from my surgery.
This was before me or when I was there?
This was before you got there.
Okay.
And we went out there, and it was literally just out. Like there was people like a mile behind the main group, just spread out. Like it was bad. There was people crying. Like it was, it was really bad because it's just a mile and a half straight up. Or no, sorry, we did 4 miles up. It's 4 miles straight up, and then the down part's not bad. But getting the 4 miles up on these kids who never carried a pack in their life, and now they're carrying like 50 pounds and 30 pounds for the freshmen and stuff like that. Like they were dying.
You were there when we adjusted the weight, right? In accordance to TBS?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Talk about souls getting lost on the hills. It was just like...
And then those good old A mountain hikes where we'd be like, okay, we're going to lap around, go up twice, and then back to the parking lot. We go up the second time, come down, start heading towards the parking lot, and whip back around and start going up again. You just see people's souls crushed, and they would just start falling out, because that's how you test their mental ability to keep pushing. And people would just mentally break when they would see us going up the mountain again for the third time.
You know, it's funny because on the depot, we used to do that. Hey, we're going to do, one more time around. Hey, if we keep it tight, hey, that's it. So we come around, we're going by the barracks. You can smell some like food by the chow hall and stuff like that. You're like, yes. We're about to, this is up north in Camp Pouncey. Like, oh, we're about to be done. You're going back around by supply. You're about to hit by the freaking, not the O course, but the confidence course. Like, all right, cool. We're going back to the barracks. You hit that little strip, and next thing you know, the barracks are there, and you just keep going for another one. Every cycle, I used to get them, and I loved every bit of it. But I love A Mountain, man. Like, it's so crazy because like so many people hated A Mountain. I was like, I love the A Mountain. Like no, I'm not gonna sleep there. But yeah, I love the A Mountain. That was a good place to be, and just to watch the looks on people's faces, like going up. Oh, that gave me so much energy. No, that's awesome. So obviously, ASU. I say we got the most stringent PTO now. You know what I'm saying? We hold our own.
It was good. It was good.
We get it. But so now during this time where you were at ASU as a MECEP student, me and you have had numerous conversations about entrepreneurship. So like at what point did you go, you know what? I'm tired of just not being able, not tired, but I'm tired of not being able to be in control of what I'm going to do when I get out. And I want to start something now to build onto that. Like, when did that start?
Yeah. So that was like almost as soon as I got there. I'm one of those that if I have nothing to do, I go crazy. I have to be doing something all the time. So when I was going to college, I had a lot of spare time. So I was like, what am I going to do with this? So I was like, well, I want to start a business, but I want one that I can control and do on my time and stuff like that. So I mowed my yard at home and I mowed a couple of my neighbors, and I was like, you know what? I know how to like mow and landscape. So let's try that. So I decided to start a landscaping business, and that's where my graphic design actually came back into play, because instead of having to pay somebody to do all the design work and stuff like that, I just threw together some designs, made business cards, made a Facebook page, and then just pounded the ground, went out with 1,000 business cards and just stuck them in people's doors. And then eventually I started getting calls, and by the time I left, I was turning down work. Like I didn't have enough time in the day to do everything. I was having to turn down jobs that were like thousands of dollar jobs just because I had no time.
Dang, so you're just like, what you were able to do while balancing all that, home, injury, wife, kids, and a business on your own. Like, hold on, big shout out to that.
Oh, thank you.
Talk about the American dream. Like, that's a talent in itself, just to be able to balance, schedule your stuff, make sure your taxes are good, make sure your books are good, family, make sure they're happy, make sure your kids are taken care of. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Little Johnny stuck. Oh, now you got to take him to medical. You know what I'm saying?
I have to give a shout out to my wife on that one, because I would be gone from 4 a.m. till 9 p.m. A lot of the days. So she took care of the home front and the kids and everything like that to make it possible for me to go out and do the landscaping.
Good answer. I got you though. Good answer. She's probably watching right now like, oh, you got
No, she's outside with the kids right now.
Oh, man. And I'm going to be honest, like, it's, you don't, I'm not going to say you don't appreciate things like that until you have to do it, but I don't think you can fully empathize until you have to actually do it. And, that even in the Marine Corps, like, we think as Marines, we deploy and then our significant other, our spouses in the rear, like, oh, they have it easy. I'm over here in this hot desert. It's 140 degrees. And you're like, you don't fully give the props to your spouse that's back there hooking jabs to school, making sure they drive, getting up early, cooking. Oh, they threw up on me. Now I got to change my clothes. And the house is dirty. I got to clean the house. I got to cook. Hey, big shout out to all the wives and husbands that stay home and take care of the kids in the house.
Absolutely.
Woo! Y'all put in work. Much praise to y'all. That's awesome. So you started your own landscaping company. So you got a feeler by just kind of like mowing lawns, and then like an idea came up, like, I have the talent for this? Or did you talk to somebody before and like, hey, I do this? Did anybody mentor you with that?
So originally, no. I just was like, hey, landscaping, that's easy to do. I have a lawnmower, I have a weed eater. Like, let's go, let's do it. Right. And then I did have a mentor after that when I started doing it. One of my wife's uncles did landscaping for a long time, and he found out that I was getting into it and really mentored me into the aspect of the larger side of it, of more of installations, like putting rock in, putting sod in, putting artificial turf, pavers, irrigation systems. And then that really turned the business around because I was out mowing yards for like $30, $40 a yard and was making not really much. And then once he kind of mentored me and showed me the larger aspect and the commercial aspect of it, and I was able to get those quotes. And Arizona is a very big veteran friendly, like they love veterans in Arizona. So just the fact that I was a veteran, and obviously I advertised that on my business card. It was like that, and then word of mouth, and then it just spread. I think I was doing 30 to 40 yards a week towards the end, on top of steady installations, and installations like that, which the installations is where you get into the real money of landscaping. Like I could do one installation job 1 week and that's it for the month and make as much as I do for doing all of those maintenances. But the things with the maintenances is once they trust you and they see you do good work, and then you can mention like, hey, I do installations and I see like your pavers are old, or I see like this is done, I can do this, I can do that. It's all about, like, I guess they call it the upsell. So a lot of that turned into extra work that paid off in the end.
That's awesome. Like I'm gonna be completely honest. Like I think in Arizona, I don't know if it's because of the heat, I've gone through like 5 or 6 different like landscapers. And it's like they'll do it a couple of times and they don't answer the phone, and then it's just
that's a huge problem in Arizona. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten to a client's house and they're like, I had a landscaper, and you look at their yard and the grass is like up to your chest, and you're like, when? And they're like, well, they stopped answering the phone, and I kept trying to call them every week and they never answer. I'm like, well, yeah, you should have probably called somebody else sooner. But that's a big problem in Arizona.
I'm assuming it's because of the heat or because it's such a commodity. See, like, I think in like the places like California, the weather's so fair, more people don't mind going out there and doing it themselves. In Arizona, people are like sitting there sipping their latte, like on the inside, like, I won't touch that.
It's 115 degrees. They're not going to go outside and mow.
Not today, people. Not today.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. So, and you feel like, obviously right now you went the officer route and you've commissioned already. So where does that leave that whole landscaping, like entrepreneurship business?
So I completely dropped everything when I was leaving, because I was actually trying to find somebody to take over the business when I left. And I just couldn't find anybody who wanted to really take it over that I trusted, especially to have the same quality and everything that I wanted. So I kind of slowly dropped the clients and let them know, you're like, hey, in 3 months, it's going to be my last service. So start looking for somebody now. And then I dropped that. And then right now, as I've been going through the officer program and the basic school and stuff like that, all I've been doing is setting up business plans so that I'm kind of taking it one duty station at a time. So if I ever decide and they give me orders and I'm like, hey, that's not good for my family, I can just like pull out the landscaping business plan and be like, here's all my logos, here's the business paperwork to start it up, here's my tax ID number, here's everything like that. That way I can just roll with it. And I already have a lot of connections in Arizona already to go back into the landscaping industry when I go back.
No, that's definitely good. And starting the whole entrepreneur thing anyways, it's like something I try to tell people, like, you should always have a fallback plan with everything that you do. I know some people feel that having a plan B, it means that you're already telling yourself there's a chance you could fail.
Yeah, no.
But I don't know. I always refer everything to wearing a seatbelt in a car. Like, nobody gets in the car expecting a car accident, but if something happens, God forbid, or whoever you believe in forbid, or if you don't believe in anybody forbid, that it actually happened, you got that seatbelt. Just same thing with insurance. Nobody expects a car accident. Who knows if some random driver's gonna come tag your car? You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
it definitely, like, if you put all your eggs in one basket and you're like, no, I'm gonna be in the Marine Corps for 20 years, and then all of a sudden 8 years later they're like, hey, guess what, we're downsizing, you're out, and you never had any secondary plans or any idea of anything else, and then what? you're going to get out of the Marine Corps, especially if you're in an MOS that doesn't translate into the civilian world, you're screwed. Because where are you going to work? Especially now.
Exactly. And this is why I always tell people, I was explaining that when I was in Japan, I was talking about my sergeants at Corpus course. I was like, what are your plans for, like, if you, for what you're doing now to set yourself up for when you retire? He's like, well, I plan on doing at least 20. I was like, okay, imagine if you do 20 years, you're at 5 years right now, and now you're 15 years ahead of your peers. And I think when I tell people that, it starts to kind of twinkle in their eye a little bit, but then it's like, I'm gonna just do MCIs and run fast, It's like they revert back to what they know about the Marine Corps. I'm just like,
I run real fast and I shoot real good.
Yeah, it's like, listen, and this isn't to demote the Marine Corps, so please don't go past the word or try to clip
absolutely.
this.
The Marine Corps is wonderful, but it's not everything. You're not in here for your whole life. It's a job.
Right. And it's like, there's always something afterwards. And one of the reasons, I know this isn't about me, but I think it kind of correlates. One of the reasons why I even started the whole veteran influencer concept, brand, podcast, is because when I was in Japan, I was actually interviewing some E8s and E9s in the Marine Corps. And just the reason why I'm saying it like that, because, there's obviously more than one. So it's not, I know there's more than E8s and E9s. And a lot of them were like close to 30 years, 27, 28. I was like, hey, first sergeant major, what, it's almost at 30. Like, what's the plan? Honestly, when I get done, I don't want to do anything. I just want to be a Walmart greeter. And I'm just like, I was just like, that ain't it, bro.
That's good. I like that.
But they weren't the only ones, though. It was so common of a response that at that point, I started doing t-shirts. I was learning about branding, and it was terrible. I made some horrible shirts, horrible designs. The name was terrible. It was called like Siam Fitness, but it was an acronym. It was so terrible. It stood for successes in your mind, but it was like S.I. Like it was terrible. But I was learning about the whole concept of doing it. And then now onto the whole podcasting, I said I want to do a podcast, and I want to get to a point to where a veteran could show up on my show, and then automatically they get 40,000 new followers. They get, this comes from it. People are buying their merch and stuff like that. So I obviously have a long way to go, but I'm building to that point of being there. So that's awesome that you started that whole process with a backup plan of just in case, things don't go according to your life, something to fall back on.
Because now that I have a family, I have to think about more than just myself. So obviously, if I get into a position where the Marine Corps is like, hey, this is your next duty station and it's not going to be good for my family, then I have to humbly bow out and do what's best for my family, because I do have backup plans to obviously make the landscaping business, which now I would probably be making more than I make now in the Marine Corps if I continue the landscaping business. So I'm not afraid to get out. I'm not like, well, if I get out, I'm not have nothing. Which again, is not a knock on the Marine Corps. It's just that, everybody should have that backup plan so that they're not squeezed into a situation where they're stressed out when they're hitting their re-enlistment mark and they're like, well, if I don't get this re-enlistment, I'm screwed. Like that should never be something that somebody puts themselves in.
Absolutely. And I think now more than ever, veterans and active duty military are becoming entrepreneurs. Like Lieutenant Samball is over here. Big shout out to Lieutenant Samball that's in the chat right now.
Samball, what's up, man?
Obviously he was one of my MECEP students as well. He just commissioned not too long ago. And he was just saying that's just a big problem with contractors in general. And he's like, let's get this bread. So, he's
a big entrepreneur as well. He's a brilliant dude. He knows a lot.
Absolutely. And he recently started his own page. What is it called? Green something?
Green Day Trading.
Green Day Trading. Like, so he does posts and stuff on Facebook. So, and he definitely takes time. I mean, he's talked to me for hours about real estate. He was like a real estate agent for a while too. So this guy is extremely smart, and his saving, he's like a penny pincher too. So I definitely learned a lot from him. Hey, Sergeant Major Harrelson, I appreciate you stopping by in the chat. Hey, Staff Sergeant Rojas, appreciate you, my guy. And Staff Sergeant Williams, thanks for joining. So now we went from kind of showed your path to entrepreneurship. So what would you want to leave with like those that are out there not knowing what they want to do, whether they want to re-enlist or not, or they don't know if being an entrepreneur is for them? Like, what kind of advice would you like leave them?
I would say, to be an entrepreneur, you have to have the passion. If you don't have the passion for it, don't even try, because you're just going to end up, I can't tell you how many times, and I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. Me and Chris were talking about it before the show started, that we have people come up and ask us for advice because they say they want to be an entrepreneur, and we invest in them and we give them advice, and we offer to help them, and we're like, hey, do this and I'll help you out here and I'll do this, and then nothing. So if you're wanting to do it, make sure you already have that passion, because anybody can have the passion to do it. It's a lot of it, I believe, is just laziness. Because like he was saying, everybody thinks like, oh, I'm too busy. I can't do this. I can't do that. Like, I was raising 3 kids with a hip injury that I had surgery with while going to college and working probably 60, 70 hours a week. It can be done. You just got to not feel sorry for yourself and do it. So make sure you have that want to, and then find a mentor and just listen to what they say. Because a lot of mentors out there, they're really knowledgeable and they've been through the struggles. I can't tell you that the mentor I had for landscaping was like, look, you don't want to underbid yourself. Like, you're going to feel like, oh, I need to tell them I'll do it for this amount because I want to get the job. And then you'll get it. And I can tell you, I lost $300 on a job because I underbid myself, because I was scared in the beginning and didn't want to lose it and didn't know what I was getting myself into. So also, don't be scared to, I guess, know what you're worth when you're doing it, and don't undersell yourself in the beginning as well. In marketing, you don't always have to pay for marketing. Through the landscaping, I maybe paid $120 in 3 years of marketing. There's ways to do it for free. You just have to be willing to put in the time. I would get home at 9, do my homework, and then from probably 11 to 1 in the morning, I'd be on the computer just doing the free marketing on the different sites that provided it. You just have to be willing to put in the time. The more time you put into something, the more you get out of it.
I like that. And just like you said, like we were saying before, is being an entrepreneur is definitely not as sweet as people make it seem to be. Like, because when I was thinking about it, I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to work for myself. I'm going to make as much money as I want to make. And then it's like, all right, go. And you're like,
yep. And then you're like, oh, I'll work on my own time and stuff like that. And you realize when you don't work for somebody who's like, you're going to work from 9 to 5, all suddenly your work hours are midnight to midnight. There is no set work schedule. So you're literally like all day long, like, I should be doing this. So you could find yourself all day long doing stuff, and then feeling like when you're sitting there trying to relax for a minute, being like, why like, I'm being lazy right now. Like, why am I not doing something? So being an entrepreneur is definitely not easier than working for somebody else. Working for somebody else, you just got to do what you're told and check in, check out, maybe be a little innovative here and there. But when you're working for yourself, there is no limit. So you're always only capped by what you put in.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, don't get it twisted. There's definitely a lot of entrepreneurs that have found success. And I guess what you were talking about before, if it's in your personality. So one of the things that I know, you know, Gary Vee, because we talked about it before. So one of the things that he says is it's not about following your dreams per se. It's more important to follow instead of following your passion, it's more important to follow your efforts. Mm-hmm. You can have whatever dream. I always wanted to be in the NBA, but if you're going to dedicate time to do it, but you're like kind of like doing it halfway, you're not putting forth that much effort for it. Obviously, you're not going to accomplish that goal. But if you're willing and your efforts show that you're willing to do this over here, then why don't you do that? Because you know that you're going to actually become successful for it, or you have a better chance of becoming successful at it, as opposed to something it sounds good, you know?
Like you're saying, you could have the dream to be the next freaking LeBron James, but if you're not out on the court for like 16 hours a day doing free throws for like 1,000 free throws before you leave the court every day and stuff like that, you're not going to make it. You have to, the time has to follow your dream, and where your time goes is where you will go.
That's absolutely true. And first of all, like I told everybody out there, I told you guys he was going to be dropping absolute gems. And when I say this guy, we spent hours, numerous days. Like I used to walk, like he used to park all far away. I used to like walk with him just to get some time after school. Just like, oh, so what about this? What are you doing with this? I'm like, Staff Sergeant, I'm at the car now. You can go. I'm like, oh.
Yep, I remember that. Yeah.
But no, I really appreciate having you on here, sir. And I like to do a follow-up interview with you at some point and kind of like speak to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that I've been on here, I can get some kind of material, I guess, to go along with it, to be a little more angled on some things.
Right. Yeah, I definitely wanted to just get your story in the beginning, because I wanted people to be able to resonate to you whenever they saw you. They're like, okay, I know this guy. You know, I remember Chris had an interview. You know, at this point, he talked to him about this, that, and third. I just don't want people coming on automatically and like feel like they're being sold something. You know, I want them to kind of get who they are. And
for sure.
Yeah, the whole with them aspect. You know, what's in it for me? I want them to get something out of it before we try to ever get something from them. So I just want to say thank you so much, sir. I know you have a lot of things going on or whatever. We had some of your people in the chat supporting. Like the whole Mads knows about your show. Shout out to Mad. Come on, shout out to them, baby.
Marine Aviation Attachment. China Lake, place you probably never ever heard of.
Hey, China Lake in the building. Yeah, thank you guys so much for all your support, all the comments of everybody that was out here. I know it was kind of last minute that I kind of spoke saying that I was going to be on Facebook today for the interview. I know we typically do on YouTube, but we're going to be moving here to Facebook for a while now. Please continue to share this out. I'm going to leave it on Facebook to kind of accrue some attention, you know, the views, all that good stuff. So I'll leave it on Facebook. I'm going to be putting like different segments and chopping up and putting it on YouTube, and I'll have different segments on Facebook as well. So yeah, like I said, sir, hey, thank you. I appreciate your time, you know, here just to talk to your boy and kind of help the community
out. Thank you for having me on.
You know, here on the Veteran Influencers Podcast, we try to give as much to the community as we can that will help them, and especially for those that are active duty that are possibly transitioning out to the, you know, the civilian world. So,
yeah. Last thing I'll leave y'all with is on Facebook as well. I have a group called Military Entrepreneurs, and it's just a place for anybody who served in the military to join. And we have a plethora of people of different business backgrounds who can help you out if you're looking to start a business or you're looking at helping somebody else out. Chris is a member as well. And so if you need help with creating podcasts, you can ask him on there and he can hit you up on that. We have Sambo on there as well, helping out on the real estate side. I see him posting, helping people out and their questions all the time. So you can look that up and ask to join. I think we're about 205, 206 members right now.
Yeah, we're definitely rolling on that page. And the cool thing about that page is people aren't just posting and spamming stuff. It's like people are actually there to try to help, and we always support, watch each other's stuff. So that's definitely great. I want to give one more last shout out to Personally Yours Decor. If you guys get some time, stop by their website. Like I said, amazing quality. You'll definitely be surprised. If you're looking to decorate your house, or if you know someone that's looking to decorate your house, go to personallyyoursdecor.com. Check it out. Like I said, the person that runs that website and that company and that brand is actually the mother of a veteran, and he's a close friend of mine. And like I said, high quality work, handcrafted, custom made. And there's so many different things that you could possibly use it for. So, and like I said, and if nothing else, you're supporting a veteran as well. So we're trying to promote supporting the veteran community as much as possible. Like, I don't even buy anything else outside of veteran clothes. I mean, this is my own shirt. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to cop the tee, you can go to Teespring/Veteran Influencers. I just got a new design out there. Got hoodies, t-shirts. You know what I'm saying? Got the mug, got the
nice,
the face mask, you know what I'm saying? Keeping it safe, and some hoodies and some other stuff too. But I just want to say thank you guys so much. The constant support. Make sure you go to the Facebook page on Veteran Influencers and like and share the page if you can. We're going to be building that page up, so eventually we're going to be streaming from there. From now, we're going to be streaming here on the personal pages. So the more you share it out and start a watch party, it kind of helps with the views and it kind of bring more people in. So I just want to say thank you so much once again, sir. I appreciate you taking time. And any last thing you want to leave with?
No, that's it for today. I got to go get some family time in.
Absolutely. Look at that. The balance is real, people. All right,
Thank
everybody.
you for having me on.
Thank you guys so much. Have a good one.